What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and we're kind of in the midst of holiday season right now, right? Hanukkah's going on right now. We got a couple of days till Christmas by the time this video comes out, and I figured this would be the perfect time because everyone's spending time with friends, they're spending time with family, they're spending time away and not really thinking about what's going on within this Red Sox organization, to talk about a topic within Red Sox Nation that has a lot of strong opinions, really a ton of strong opinions, one way or the other, and that is what is going on with Rafael Devers. There has been a ton of different reports throughout this entirety of this offseason that really contradict themselves, and it leads to a lot of panicked reactions and stuff like that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through every single bit of information that we have right now on the Rafael Devers Red Sox contract situation. We're going to go through all of it, and then we're going to try and decide if it truly is time to panic on the Rafael Devers contract stuff. Is it time to bring the pitchforks and torches to Fenway Park? But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning and work our way up from there. Rafael Devers was born. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. We're going to start at the beginning of 2022 when Rafael Devers was offered his first contract extension. That came in spring training, where he was offered an 8-year, $168 million contract, which ends up averaging out to about $21 million a year, which to Rafael Devers and really anyone who's ever seen him play, watched any singular at-bats, or heard about what he does at the plate knows that this is an extremely low ball offer. Now, this offer was actually modeled exactly like the offer Matt Olson got and took with the Atlanta Braves when he was traded there before the 2022 offseason, and that's where the Red Sox were comparing him to a Matt Olson type player, which again, extremely low ball offer. It was really a slap in the face to Rafael Devers. Now, to make matters worse, for those of you who want it to hurt a little bit more, this was around the same time that the Red Sox had offered Xander Bogaerts the 1-year, $30 million add-on to his current contract, which again, extremely low ball offer and extreme slap in the face. Fun stuff, right? Well, since then, we're going to fast forward through the entirety of the 2022 regular season, mostly because one, I don't think any of us want to relive that nightmare, and two, there really was not a lot happening with Rafael Devers' contract negotiation. We know that before the season started, he said that he did not want to negotiate during the season. He didn't want to distract himself, but at the same time too, we've heard players talk about that before, and teams will go to their agents and they'll talk separately, and then if the agent feels as though he has a legitimate offer on the table, that he would go to Rafael Devers. We've seen it on this Red Sox team, but for some reason the Red Sox decided not to do that this season and decided to do basically absolutely nothing. So here we are now entering the beginning of the 2023 free agency. So now we're in 2023 free agency, rewinding a couple of months, because the first news that we got about Rafael Devers and Red Sox contract extensions came towards the end of October, when we got a report that came out from Jon Heyman, in which he stated, and I'm going to read this off the screen to make sure I don't mess anything up. He stated that the Red Sox remained far apart in contract talks with Rafael Devers, but this time they were starting to up their offer. In fact, he stated that the Red Sox were officially above $200 million in that range on a Rafael Devers contract. The problem is, rightfully so, Rafael Devers is looking at in the $300 million range, which is a huge gap, and why Jon Heyman made the article, because the Red Sox were still really far off. Rumors were swirling around that they were modeling their contract extension off of Austin Riley, but that was never really confirmed. What we do know is that the Red Sox were in the 200 millions and Rafael Devers was in the 300 millions. So at this point, towards the end of October, while the gap still remained pretty large, according to what we heard from Jon Heyman, there was some good news in that report. What the good news was is that the Red Sox were starting to up their offer. They started at $168 million before the season. Now they're sitting above $200 million. We don't know the exact number at this point, so there is some good news in there, and that they are trying to come to a middle ground with Rafael Devers. The bad news is they're still pretty far apart. Okay, so keep up with me here, because now we are going to the end of November, because this is the next time we heard anything about the Rafael Devers contract situation. We heard heard that Mariano Pepin tweeted out that the Red Sox were within $50 million of extending Rafael Devers, getting to a price point that he thinks is fair and is okay with. All in all, this seemed like really great news at the time. $50 million kind of correlates with what John Heyman had written about, where the Red Sox were above 200 million and Rafael Devers was around 300 million, right? If you put it at 250, that's above 200, right around 300. And it seemed as though the Red Sox were moving or trending in the right direction. That it seemed like Rafael Devers, that they realized that Rafael Devers was worth taking a risk on a big contract. They were moving themselves up, and it felt like we were getting closer and closer to a deal, because $50 million to you and me is a crap ton of money, but to billionaires who own an MLB team, it's absolutely nothing, especially if you spread it over an 8, 9, 10-year contract. That's going to be less than $10 million added on a year. It felt like something could legitimately get done. Then Xander left. And it wasn't just that Xander left, it was that he left on a massive contract that completely belittled and embarrassed what the Red Sox had valued Xander Bogaerts at, which was the 160 or 140, whatever it was, right? Xander Bogaerts not only got a massive lump sum of money, he got what he wanted the most, which was security in years. Xander Bogaerts signing an 11-year $280 million deal, while his average annual value isn't probably what he could have gotten if he had taken a lower deal. It means that Xander Bogaerts will not have to worry about free agency probably ever again, most likely. And Xander's signing really sent, I would say, most people in Red Sox Nation off a cliff. One, because Xander left and that sucks, right? He was the heart and soul of this team, but this video isn't about him, so I'm not going to get super into that. But two, because it felt like the entire way the Red Sox mishandled everything, lowballing him during the preseason, right? During spring training, not talking to him during the year while he was open and saying he would talk to them, not really paying that much attention to the market, which leads me to my third point and why a lot of Red Sox fans kind of dove off a cliff, including myself, after Xander Bogaerts left, and that's because of the Red Sox offer. It felt like to most people, even experts within the industry, that the Red Sox did not understand the current market value of free agents, specifically free agents from their own team. In terms of why Xander affected Rafael Devers so much from a team side of thing and from a public perspective kind of thing, this really indicated to a lot of fans that the Red Sox may not end up ponying up the money that Rafael Devers requires to keep him on this team, not because they don't want to, but because they don't understand the value of the player that they have on their team. And that's a really scary thought. That's a path that is an extremely dangerous path to go on. If you don't understand the market value of your star players, you're never going to be a successful organization. On top of that too, because Xander left and because the free agent market this year really went nuts, most people assumed it was never truly confirmed that Rafael Devers' price in years really only went up. He realized during this offseason that, hey man, if I hit free agency, I could get a really long-term deal, settle down somewhere, never really have to worry about hitting free agency again or worrying about negotiating. I could still make a decent amount of money. And on top of that too, he realized that all of the balls were in his court when it came to negotiating with the Boston Red Sox. Now again, this is all assumptions. It was never assumed, but it's a pretty safe assumption to make. And I'm sorry, I know this is a lot of information coming at you really quickly, but I just want to make sure you guys have all the Rafael Devers information available so you can formulate your own opinion, which leads me to the final piece of news, the news that broke very recently that sent Red Sox Nation in a tizzy, right? It absolutely blew up. Everyone went mad, and that is the June Lee article, which states, and again, I'm going to quote word for word here, according to multiple league sources, the Red Sox and Rafael Devers are galaxies apart in their contract negotiations, and that Devers and his camp fully believe that he will be a free agent at the end of 2023. In response to this, there were some quotes that came out from the Red Sox front office, specifically Chaim Bloom, which stated that he and the Red Sox front office were willing to go above and beyond reasonable to bring Rafael Devers back, that he's a staple of this team and he's a guy they want to grow around. It seemed like every time he made a quote that talked about something like that, it always ended in, of course there are limitations to that rule. And that is the one phrase that Red Sox Nation really clung to, the limitations, right? Because what are those limitations? Are the Red Sox limitations 200 million, 300 million? The limitations leaves it vague and up for interpretation, and a lot of Red Sox fans are interpreting it negatively. Now, the front office has also come out and said that they do not plan on trading Rafael Devers, whether or not Rafael Devers and the Boston Red Sox Sox come to an agreement this offseason. Rafael Devers has also already come out and said that he does not plan on negotiating during the regular season, which is pretty commonplace. Now, obviously, this could be legitimate and that he really truly does not want to talk about during the regular season, like we saw with Aaron Judge. At the same time, too, it seems like Rafael Devers wants to be here. He just wants his fair deal. So now we're fully caught up. The timeline is complete, and the latest information that we have available is that the Red Sox are galaxies apart on the Rafael Devers contract, but that Chaim Bloom has stated, hey, we want him here. You guys want him here. We're going to go above and beyond reasonable to get him with limitations. Here's where I'm at with all of this. I think that the Red Sox front office, they aren't stupid people. I think they know that they've backed themselves into a corner here, mostly just through PR. When they traded Mookie Betts, they talked publicly about how, hey, look, we know we screwed this one up. The reason we are trading Mookie Betts now is so that we can get under the luxury tax, reset, and be able to re-sign stars so this never has to happen again. Then almost immediately after that, right? You're talking 2 years after that, your second biggest star, the face of the franchise, the cornerstone of this team, Xander Bogaerts, leaves for absolutely nothing. And now you got reports that Rafael Devers and you are galaxies apart from a contract situation. That is absolutely insane, and they know that. They know that they are backed into a corner. And for the most part, the Red Sox front office don't respond to being criticized heavily lightly, right? They go in the exact opposite direction of whatever the criticism is, right? We saw it before with Hanley and Pablo. And so in my opinion, I do think that the Red Sox will make a genuinely fair offer to Rafael Devers soon here. But the problem I have with a fair offer is that I don't think a fair offer gets it done anymore. Like we said in this video, Devers saw two 30-year-old shortstops get an 11-year deal in free agency. To Devers, he has said that, hey, I don't really, I want my fair value, but I don't really care about being the most paid player in baseball. What I care about are years. He just saw two 30-year-olds get 11 years. What do you think he can get on the free agent market? He knows that, and at this point, a fair contract just doesn't get it done. The Red Sox truly have to go above and beyond reasonable to get Rafael Devers' deal done, and that's where my problem is. I don't know what that limitation is. I don't know where they stop and say, hey, this is our limit. This is way above reasonable, Devers, but that's what it's going to take to get it done. Now, all of this is to say, look, we understand that Rafael Devers getting signed is probably the most important focus of this Red Sox team right now, right? The free agent market has died down super heavily. They have talked about trades. It doesn't seem like they're making a huge splash there. Rafael Devers is a huge cornerstone player of this team. He is the last remaining cornerstone player of this team that the Red Sox have not screwed over yet. This is a hugely important crossroads for the Boston Red Sox. Before we panic, before we say blow the team up, let's wait a second. Let us see what the next contract offer is. If they truly go above $300 million, if they say, hey, Devers, look, let's give you the Carlos Correa deal. Let's give you 12 years. What was it? 320, something like that. And Rafi still says no. Then you can start talking about it a little bit better. Then let's burn the team down. Let's do it, right? But I will say, if it comes out that the Red Sox offered him 8 years, $270 million, that's where we panic. That's where we start to get mad. That's where we start talking about trades. But until then, let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think of all this? What do you think of everything that has gone on so far with Rafael Devers? Where do you think this is going? Do you think it's already time to panic? Do you think you're like me, who's let's wait it out a little bit before we bring the pitchforks and torches to Fenway Park? Let me know all your thoughts on the Devers situation down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Sea.